Lesson 21. We now come into this lesson to subjects which interest all of us. Telepathy. You may have wondered why we have been stressing so much the similarity between the human brain waves and radio waves. In this lesson, you may get more enlightenment on that subject. Here is figure 9. As you will see, we call it the tranquil head. It is called tranquil because we must be in that state before we can do telepathy or clairvoyance or psychometry. That is why in our last lesson we dealt with those matters. We must be at ease within ourselves if we are going to progress. Look at it this way. Would you expect to get a good symphony concert if you were in the vicinity of a boiler factory? Would you be able to enjoy classical music or whatever form of music you favor if people were hopping up and down around you, screeching at the top of their voices? No, you would either switch off the radio or run screaming yourself, or would tell everybody to be quiet. You will see that there are different receptor areas in the brain. The area which corresponds roughly to the halo picks up telepathic waves. We will deal with the other waves later. First, we are dealing with telepathy. When we are tranquil, we can pick up all sorts of impressions. They are merely the radio waves of other people coming in and being absorbed by our own receptive brain. You will agree that most people have hunches. Most people at some time or other have had a most strange impression that something was going to happen or that they should take some specific course of action. People who know better call it a hunch. Actually, it is merely unconscious or subconscious telepathy. That is, the person with the hunch was picking up a telepathic message sent out consciously or unconsciously by another person. Intuition is the same type of thing. It is stated correctly that women possess more intuition than men. Women could be greater telepaths than the average men if women would not talk so much. The female brain is stated to be smaller that of the male, but of course that does not matter in the slightest. A lot of rubbish has been written about the size of brain affecting the size of intelligence. On the basis, we suppose an elephant should be a genius compared to human standards. The human brain, the female brain can resonate in harmony with incoming messages. And again, in radio terms, the female brain is a radio set which can be tuned into a simplicity if you prefer that explanation. Do you remember the old radio set that your father or your grandfather had? There were knobs and dials all over the place, and it was almost a feat of engineering to tune into the local station. One had to turn up filament controls to make sure that the tubes were at the right voltage. One had to tune in with a pair of slow motion knobs. Often, one had to move coils as well, and then there was the volume control. Your grandfather will tell you all about the first radios. Now one gets hold of a pocket radio, switches it on, moves a knob perhaps with one finger, and there is the program maybe from halfway across the world. The female brain is like that. It is easier to tune than is the male brain. We should also remind you of identical twins. It is an established fact that the established fact that identical twins are nearly always in contact with each other, no matter how far they may be apart physically. You can have one twin in North America or North America and another twin in South America, and you will get reports of happenings occurring to the pair of them simultaneously. You will get reports that each knows what the other is doing. That is because these two came from a single cell, came from single egg, and so their brains are like a pair of carefully matched radio receivers or transmitters. They are in tune without any effort at all on the part of the owners. Now you will want to know how you can do telepathy. For you can do it with practice and with faith, but no matter how much practice, no matter how much faith, you will not do it unless you have our old friend near composure. The best way to practice is tell yourself for a day or two that on such and such a day, at such and such a time, you are going to make your brain receptive so that you can pick up great general impressions and then definite telepathic messages. Keep repeating to yourself, keep affirmating to yourself that you are going to succeed in this. On the predetermined day, preferably in the evening, retire to a private room. Make sure that the lights are low and that the temperature is just comfortable for you. Then recline in the position which you have found to be the most comfortable. Have in your hand a photograph of the person to whom you are most attached. Any light should be behind you so that it shines on or illuminates the photograph. Breathe deeply for a few minutes and then clear your mind of all extraneous thoughts. Think of the person whose photograph is in your hands. Look at the photograph. Visualize the person standing in front of you. What would this person say to you? What would you reply? Frame your thoughts. You can, if you like, say, speak to me, speak to me. Then wait for a reply. If you are composed, if you are if you have faith, you will get some stirring inside your brain. First, you will be inclined to put it down to imagination, but it is not imagination but reality. If you dismiss it as idle imagination, you will dismiss telepathy. The easiest way of acquiring telepathic ability is to work with a person whom you will know very well and with whom you are on the most intimate terms of friendship. Both of you should discuss what you were going to do. You should be you should both agree that on such and such a date at such and such a time you will get in touch with each other telepathically. Both of you should retire to rooms. It does not matter how far apart. It can even be a continent apart. For distance is no object, but you must make sure that you make allowance for any difference in time. For example, Buenos Aires may be 2 hours ahead of New York in time. You have to allow for that, otherwise, your experiment will fail. You also have to agree who is going to transmit and who is going to receive. You can do it easily if you synchronize your watches and go by Greenwich Mean Time, which will obvi- obviate any possibility of confusion. One can obtain Greenwich Mean Time almost anywhere. And if you decide to transmit first and then, after 10 minutes, neither more nor less, but a definite fixed interval of time, your friend will transmit back. The first 2 or 3 times you will not necessarily succeed, but practice makes perfect. Remember that a baby cannot walk at first attempt. The baby had to practice and fall down and crawl. You will not succeed necessarily at the first attempt at telepathy, but again, practice makes perfect. When you can send a telepathic message to a friend or receive one, then you are well on the way to getting the thoughts of others. But you can only get their thoughts provided that you have no evil intent toward them. We are going to make one of our famous digressions here. You can never use telepathy or clairvoyance or psychometry to do harm to another person, nor can any other person do harm to you by these means. It has often been stated that if an evil person were telepathic or clairvoyant, they would be able to blackmail people who had made some slight mistake. But that empathetically is not the case, it is possible. You cannot have light and darkness at the same time in the same place, and you cannot use telepathy for evil. That is an absolutely inexorable law of metaphysics. So do not be alarmed. People do not read your thoughts to do you harm. No doubt many would like to, but they cannot do so. We mention that because of the fear that so many people have that person by telepathy can know all the most secret fears and phobias. It is true that the purest mind people could pick up your thoughts, could see from your aura weak what your weak points were, but the pure person would not for one moment contemplate doing such a thing, and the impure person permanently lacks the ability. We suggest that you practice telepathically with a friend, or if you cannot get a friend to cooperate, relax as we have said and let thoughts come into you. You will find first that your head is buzz of conflicting thoughts. It is similar to when you go into a crowd of people. There is a babble of conversation, just a horrible noise. Everyone seems to be talking at the same time at the top of their voices. But if you try, you can single out of one voice. You can do that also in telepathy. Practice, you must practice and have faith, and then provided you keep calm about it all and have no intention of hurting any other person, you will be able to do telepathy. You will see that the rays from clairvoyant sight come from the location of the third eye, and as you will observe, they are of a completely different frequency from that of telepathy. It is in some ways the same type of thing, giving different results. One might say that when you get telepathic messages, you listen to radio. When you get clairvoyant messages, you see television pictures and often in glorious technicolor. If you want to see clairvoyantly, you will need a crystal or something which shines. If you have a diamond ring with one stone, that is as good as crystal. And certainly, it is less tiring to hold. Here, again, you will have to recline comfortably and you will have to make sure that the lighting of a very low order indeed. Let us assume, though, that you have invested in a crystal. You are resting completely at ease in your room in the evening. Your curtains or blinds have been drawn to cut out any direct rays of light. The room is so dark that you can hardly see the outline of the crystal. It is so dark that you certainly cannot see any pinpoints of light in the crystal. Instead of Instead, the whole thing is hazy, almost not there. You know that you are holding it. You know that you can see something. Keep looking into the crystal without trying to see anything. Look into the crystal as if you were looking in the far, far distance. This crystal will be just a few inches from you, but instead you have to look miles. Then you will see the crystal gradually begin to cloud. You will see white clouds form, and the crystal, instead of being apparently a clear gas, will appear to be full of milk. Now, now is the critical time. Do not jerk. Do not let yourself become alarmed, as so many people do, because the next stage, the whiteness rolls away like curtains being drawn away to disclose a stage. Your crystal has gone, vanished, and you see instead of the world, you are gazing down as a god on Olympus might look upon the world. You see perhaps the clouds with a convenient continent beneath. You have a sensation of falling. You might even involuntarily jerk forward a little. Try to control this, because if you do not, if you do jerk, you will lose the picture and have the have to start all over again some other night. But supposing you did not jerk, then you will have the impression that you are speeding down and the world is getting larger and larger. You will find continents sweep beneath you, and then you will come to a halt at some particular spot. You might see a historical scene. You might even appear to land in the middle of a war and find a tank charging at you. There is nothing to be alarmed at in this, because the tank cannot hurt you. It will go right through you and you will not know a thing about it. You may find that you are seeing apparently through the eyes of some other person. You cannot see the person's face, but you can see all that he or she would see. Again, do not be alarmed. Do not allow yourself to jerk. You will see quite clearly, quite plainly, and although you do not actually hear a sound, you will know everything that is being said. So it is that we see in clairvoyance. It is a very easy thing, provided again that you have faith. Some people do not actually see a picture. Some people get all the impressions without actually seeing. This is this often happens to a person who is engaged in business. We can have a very clairvoyant person indeed, but if that person is engaged in business or commerce, then often there is a skeptical attitude which makes it difficult to actually see the picture. The person subconsciously think that such a thing cannot be, and as clairvoyance will not be completely denied, the person gets impression somewhere in the head which are nevertheless as a as real as are the pictures. With practice you can see clairvoyantly. With practice you can visit any period of the history and see what the history really was. You will be amused and amazed when you find most frequently that history was not as written in the history books for history as written reflects the politics of the time. We can see how that happens in the case of Hitler, Germany, and Soviet Russia. Now, let us deal with psychometry. Psychometry can be termed seeing through the fingers. Everyone has had some form of this experience. For instance, take a heap of coins and get some other persons to hold just one of the coins for a few minutes. Then, if coin is put back with the others, you will be able to pick the coin because be it will be warmer than the rest. This, of course, is just an elementary little thing which has no place of the stage. By psychometry, we mean the ability to pick up an article and to know its origin, what has happened to it. One who has had it and the person's state of mind. You can often get a sort of psychometry when you feel that an article has been in happy surroundings or in unpleasant surroundings. You can practice you can practice psychometry by enlisting the aid of sympathetic friend. This is how you should set about it. Assuming that your friend is sympathetic to you and wants to see you progress, we suggest that you get him to wash his hands and then pick up a stone or pebble that also should be washed with soap or water and well rinsed. Then your friend should carefully dry his hand and the stone, and then, holding the stone in his left hand, he should thoroughly, strongly, for about a minute, he should think of one thing. It can be of the color black or white or good temper or bad temper. It does not matter what he thinks as long as he thinks strongly of one subject for about a minute. Having done that, he should wrap the stone in a clean handkerchief or a paper handkerchief and hand it to you. You should not unwrap it then, but wait until you are alone in your contemplation room. We are going to digress again. We said with the left hand, and let us explain the reason. Under esoteric lore, the right hand is supposed to be practical hand and the hand is devoted to the things of the world. The left hand is the spiritual hand, that which is devoted to metaphysical things. Provided that you are normally right handed, then you will get greater results by using the left esoteric hand for psychometry. If you are one of those who are left handed, then you will see your right hand is the metaphysical sense. It is to be observed that you can often get results with the left hand and left hand when you cannot with the right hand. When you are in your room of contemplation, you will need to wash your hands very carefully and then rinse them before drying them, because if you do not do that, you will have other impressions on your hands, and you want one impression only for this experiment. Lie down, make yourself comfortable, and in case it does not it doesn't matter how much or how little light there is. You can have every light on, or you can be in complete darkness, then unwrap the stone or whatever it was and pick it up with your left hand. See that it rolls into the center of your left palm. Do not think about it. Do not bother about it. Just try to let your mind go blank. Think about nothing. You will next experience a slight tingling in the left hand, and then you will get an impression, probably what your friend was trying to put over to you. You might also pick up the impression that he really thinks you are engaging upon a crackpot stunt. If you practice this, you will find that provided you are tranquil, you can pick up most interesting impressions. When your friend is tired of assisting, you do it on your own. Go out somewhere, get hold of a pebble which has not been touched by man so far as you know. This is easy if you are by a seashore or can dig up a stone from the earth. By practicing, you will have truly remarkable results. You can, for example, pick up a pebble and know about the time when it was part of a mountain, how it was swept down by a river or out into the sea. The information that one can pick up by psychometry is truly amazing, but again, it needs a lot of patience, and you must keep your mind tranquil. It is possible to pick up a little which is still in an envelope, and it and to be aware of the general trend of contents. It is also possible to pick up a letter written in foreign language, and by managing the fingertips of left hand slightly left hand lightly over the surface, you will pick up the meaning of the letter even though you do not understand the individual words. This is quite infallible with practice, but never do it just to prove that you can do such a thing for the benefit of other people. You may wonder why people will not prove that they are telepathic, that they are clairvoyant. The answer is that when you are telepathic, you have to have favorable conditions. You cannot do telepathy when you have someone trying to prove you wrong, because you are picking up waves radiated by other people. And if you have a person close to you who is trying to prove you wrong, trying to say that you are a fake, then you will find that his radiations, perhaps of dislike and doubt and distrust, are so strong that they blank out weaker waves from afar. We recommend that if anyone asks you to give proof, you tell them that you are not interested. You know, and what you know, you do not have to prove to other people. We would also like to say something about clairvoyants who live in back streets and make money therefrom. It is a fact that many women have great clairvoyant abilities of and on, that is, it is not constant, it cannot be switched on at will. There is frequently the case that a woman who is most talented at clairvoyance in brief flashes will astound her friends with true prophecies. They will suggest that she ought to take it up professionally. The poor, deluded woman will do so. She will charge varying sums of money for her services. She cannot tell a client that today she does not feel that her clairvoyant ability is working. And so, in one of her blank times, she makes up something. She is usually a good psychologist and she gets into the habit of making up things. She will find that her clairvoyant ability will recede. You will you should never take money for reading the crystal or reading the cards. If you do, you will lose the ability to see clairvoyantly. You should never try to prove that you can do this or that, because if you do, you will be fairly blasted by the brain waves of those who disbelieve in you. Oftentimes, it is better not to admit how much you know. The more normal, the more natural you appear, the more you will pick up. We say never give proof, because if you try to give proof, you will be really in undated, inundated by doubt waves from others who can cause great harm to you. We ask you to practice and cultivate inner composure, without which you cannot do any of these things. With inner composure and faith, you can do anything.